Hello, everyone. Welcome to Icons Behind Brand, and we are here with another episode of a very interesting series called Iconic Ads with Devleena and Saurabh. I'm your host, Devleena, and I'm happy to welcome our expert co host, the powerhouse, Mr. Saurabh Bajaj. Hi, Saurabh.
Hi. Hi, Devreena. Great to be here.
Welcome to IBP once again, Saurabh. And I'm excited to bring upon our guest for today, Mr. Gaurav Mehta, who is a Chief Marketing Officer at Zupi, who has also worked as a CMO at CarDekho, Girnar, Soft, OLX, and other substantial company, and worked for many iconic campaigns. And today we are going to talk about one of those iconic campaigns. A very warm welcome to you, Gaurav.
Thanks, Devleena. Thanks, Saurabh, for inviting me today. Couldn't be more excited. I think it's always good fun to talk about all the good campaigns and all the initiatives that one has taken in the past. And then, I'm going to talk to like-minded people.
Yeah. And out of many exciting campaigns which you have shared, Gaurav, so I think we have picked up one of the funniest, humorous ad. We will talk about it.
हम रिटायर्ड हैं, म्यूजियम पीस नहीं है। हमारी भी सोशल लाइफ है, बॉबी है, जॉनी है, शर्मा है, वर्मा है। इस पैंडेमिक में बहुत लफड़ा है, इसलिए हमने फिर से अपनी गाड़ी चलाना शुरू कर दिया।
और एक बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, यू गाइस।
तुम लोग इतना इम्पेशेंट काहे को होता है? जब देखो हॉन्किंग हॉन्किंग। कर रहे जल्दी तुमको है, ब्लड प्रेशर हमको देता है।
डोंट रैंट बाबा।
हमें पता है कि तुम अपने बड़े को रिस्पेक्ट करता है, और तुम्हें कैसे पता है जो गाड़ी चलाता है वो यंग है कि बुजुर्ग है? जैसे एल होता है लर्नर्स के लिए, ई होता है एल्डरली के लिए। ये ई सिंबल देखा तो नो हॉन्किंग, नो कटिंग, ओनली रिस्पेक्टिंग। ई फॉर एल्डरली, एल्डरली मतलब बुजुर्ग।
हेलो, 10 साल छोटी हूँ। ये पहन के ना तुम अंधे दिखते हो।
No sense of style, no. There's no sense of style.
चलो चलो दो।
अगर खुद के घर में कोई सीनियर सिटीजन ड्राइवर हो तो उनकी गाड़ी पे ये स्टिकर लगाना ना भूलिएगा। So look out for this symbol on the nearby cars.
Learner के L लगो.
Now there's an E for elderly.
Let's, our viewers and listeners would love to know about you, your background first, and then we will get into your association with the brand.
Sure. So, Devleena, I've been working for about 20 odd years now. Sounds like a lot, and feels like a lot also at some time. I've been on internet for the past 14 years. Started my internet journey in 2008. Yahoo, 4.5 years, which is a mothership of all consumer internet at that time. Great learning experiences. Then 2013 Jan, I joined OLX when it was starting off in India. I joined there as a head of marketing, set up the entire team. Was there for 4 years. I exited as chief marketing officer for OLX South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and also double-hatted as a general manager OLX Pakistan. That is a very interesting learning experience altogether. Then December 2016, I joined CarDekho as the chief marketing and content officer for the group. That is a massive learning because I was really getting interested in content since the start of 2016. And this opportunity came calling. So apart from marketing, I also got a chance to learn about content, edit content, branded content in a big way. And also had to double-hatted as a P&L owner of a couple of acquisitions that were made by CarDekho Group, which is where my learning about branded content really kicked in a big way because they were all in the content space, the acquisitions that had happened. So to monetize and find the perfect business model and product market fit. So that is like a superb learning. So 4.5 years, CarDekho became the largest auto tech company in the country. Last year, June, Zupi happened. 24th June 2021, I joined Zupi. Almost a year since then. It's been an insanely exciting ride. I think gaming is very, very exciting. And Zupi is going great guns. We're making the company from scratch. So it's exciting time. So I think being part of the whole startup world for quite.
I was thinking about how brand building in the automobiles industry for cars versus brand building or marketing in FMCG is different. Okay. Now, in FMCGs, it is typically about the emotional benefit, right? And hence, what is more important is to have something which is snappy, sticks to your mind, funny, and basically overcome the inhibitions. While in the car industry, it's more about a secure purchase. So it is about knowledge-seeking behavior. It's about getting the fine print, which is things like print is so effective in cars, right? Not so great in FMCG. With FMCG, you just need to feel it, and you get it's like the system one, system two of the brain, right? So in system one, in FMCG, you just have to feel good about it, and hence I when I saw the OLX commercials, it's about I sort of trust it, I enjoy it, there's an inherent need, it slips it in, and you're done. While in the case of cars, if I have to really trust this player, there is a lot of judgment here. I don't want to be taken in for a ride. It's a big investment, right? So, does this logic, play out in your mind on the way your approach on CarDekho was?
Absolutely. No, absolutely bang on, sort of. Your assessment is absolutely one point. As is also mentioned, I'm like automobile is a very high involvement purchase. The downside of making a wrong decision is monetary, it's social also, it's as physical also. I'll give you a point. I mean, and this is my inherent belief again of like after having worked in auto industry for 4.5 years, that today you can't call any car a bad car. All of them are researched very well. All of them are engineered and produced very well. There are standards that have to be met in terms of safety and so on. So for पहले जो शायद 20-30 साल पहले बोलते थे इसका इंजन अच्छा नहीं है, डीजल का इंजन खराब होता है, इसमें safety नहीं है. All that's not the case anymore. Every car is at a certain quality and benchmark. So there's no bad car anymore. But there's always a right car for everyone. And I'll give you like 2 examples very quickly, Saurabh, and which kind of like just explains the point that you were making. I'm 6'4", right? My father is also 6 feet. I was buying a car for him in the about 15-16 lakh rupee range. And he had to be chauffeured around, right? And why I'm telling you about this in detail is because this is how people buy cars. My nephew and niece, and like, they also had to be dropped to school and so on and so forth. Now the 2 cars that I kind of shortlisted were Hyundai Verna and Honda City ZX. Honda City VX. Now the thing is, I told that my dad and I are tall, and like, he needs to be chauffeured around. So the cabin size, and I'm like the wheelbase. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit geeky, but then the wheelbase of both Hyundai Verna and Honda City is the same. Yeah. But the way Honda City is designed, the cabin space is much larger than Hyundai Verna. So obviously the leg space for any person who's sitting in a Honda City cabin versus a Hyundai Verna cabin is much more. And being a tall guy, I mean, like, there's no way I would like to sit in a cramped cabin. So just by, and I'm not, and this doesn't make Hyundai Verna a bad car by any stretch of imagination. It's a fabulous car, but then it's not the right car for at least my family. And then VX didn't have a sunroof or something. My nephew nieces wanted the sunroof. So I said, okay, now I'll go to ZX. So within the car, the variant also that he chooses basis the needs that you need, right? So eventually I bought Honda City ZX for my dad. Another example, and I was talking to this person from Aztec, I think he was a regional head for sales. He had come and he was like talking to me about the car that he bought. And I said, why did you buy the car that he bought? And it's such an interesting, and he said, I used your platform a lot and I got the right information. Like, kya hua, mujhe batao, because I was very keen to understand. He stays in an area called Vasant Kunj in Delhi. Yeah, it's an oldish locality, a lot of DDA, Delhi Development Authority flats over there. Because in oldish locality, there's not enough parking space. No basement wala funda nahi hai wahan pe. Right? So typically what people do is they park on road, but there are more cars now, especially in Delhi. It's the largest car population in the country. So this guy told that I travel like 150 kilometers a day. So obviously I require like, better mileage. Diesel gives better mileage. At that time, diesel was lesser price. This is like the easier thing. I need automatic because 150 kilometers automatic. So that again becomes like a second decision variable. But the third thing that he said just blew my mind. He said, कि मैं वसंत कुंज में रहता हूँ. रात को when I come back late, I have to park behind the cars already parked. Yeah, and it's an unwritten rule. Everybody agrees upon it that जिसको सुबह निकालनी है वो गाड़ी, they'll just push the cars which are parked behind them, they'll just push them and they'll take the car out. And this is absolutely acceptable in Vasant Kunj. But for that to happen, the cars which are parked behind has to be neutral. Otherwise, you can't push those cars. In automatic cars, the moment you have to switch off the ignition and take the fob out, the key fob out, you have to put this in parking. And parking has a soft hold, which you can't push. So the car eventually that he bought, the Hyundai Verna, was maybe the only car that you could actually park in neutral and still take the key fob out.
Nice.
So it's such an interesting incident that I heard from him. Such a small feature became the decision enabler for him.
Mm.
You know, and he
Nice.
researched, he saw videos, he found out कि अभी होता है, and then said, yeah, this is the right car for my needs, right? So this is how people buy cars, which is why newspapers become so important, which is why the kind of advertising in an FMCG, I think I was talking about Panwadi, यार आप ये क्यों रखते हो, आप ये सारी candies इस तरीके से, ये वाली क्यों रखते हो सबसे, सर इसका ही नाम याद रहता है उसको, मतलब कि तो उसको तो जो वो 50 पैसे की बजाय आपको टॉफी देता है, the toffee is not known to the person, he's not going to take it, the candy. So he said, I need to keep these candies which people know about. So the kind of advertising that puts the candy right at the top, which is FMCG, I'm like, you know, and you know this better than I do, sort of. I haven't been in FMCG at all, but then automobile, just the reverse happens. You have to tell people, why is this the right car? And basis your need state, then you say, it's an awesome car, but it's not for me. So once we understood that, I mean, like the CarDekho's brand positioning or the reason to exist became that we are going to be a decision enabler for the car buyers in the country. And that's where our content changed, our brand positioning changed, our tagline became right car, right now, all our content. And then once we got this clarity, then hazar innovations happened in our go-to market. Our performance marketing ad copies changed, our content team started to churn out content like kitna waiting is car pe Diwali pe, because that also is a decision factor in terms of buying the car that you want. The lower end of Ford EcoSport is what you should buy, or the higher end of kya bolte hain, Swift. These are two different segments altogether, but then that's the way people actually compare. So once we got this thinking clearly, then innovation started to happen. And that's where the 20 to 23 million MAUs became 54, 55 million MAUs without spending a lot of media money, because people found the answers. So that's how I look at like automobile versus FMCG.
So that's really intriguing, because if I have a few other parallels of getting the insight and hence driving your brand strategy, it's a bit for me like the whole Make My Trip versus Clear Trip. Where Make My Trip had the right name, that became everybody's first default app. But it is always really confusing because you just don't know how much you're actually going to pay with taxes, without taxes. And just the simplicity of Clear Trip saying, I want to ease your decision-making process. So finally, you're looking at the money you're going to spend. I think that's what made the difference. And hence, for CarDekho to understand that our job is to enable decisions. And if that's the brand positioning that we want to have, I think really insightful, because that is the real job to be done for the consumer. And that for me also links a little bit back to the ad campaign that we saw, because it's only somebody who's thinking so hard about the consumer, who's so thoughtful and is about to give you these plethora options, is probably the person who's also thinking about the needs of the elderly, also thinking about somebody else, because we are taking the extra pains to understand the hidden needs of the consumer so well.
Yeah. Once you kind of understand, then the execution is the easiest part. I've always said that. Problem identification is the hardest part. Execution and solution is always the easiest in my books. I've always believed that. I've always spent more time, I mean, my teams and we've always spent more time in researching and quantifying and qualifying a problem. Solution ke liye to experts hain. I'm not the expert, but yeah.
Nice. Great. Yeah, that's mostly it from my end. Devleena, you got any other questions you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, we have almost covered, but a little bit talk about the brand ambassadors. They're really names: Akshay Kumar, Rahul Dravid, Rahul KL. So how they have been chosen, and a little insights on that part.
By the time we got the brand ambassadors, Devleena, our entire focus was on used car because new auto was running on its own steam, huge cash cow, and so on. So insurance and fintech was doing really well. Used car was an area of investment and intense competition for us. But we also understood that used car is a trust deficit industry. वही जो the fact is that I spoke about, कैसी कार मिलेगी, इसका पूरा price मिल रहा है नहीं मिल रहा है, insurance है, हजार चीजें, right? So that had to be the first port of call. The ambassadors that we choose have to be over-indexed on trust, on longevity, and so on and so forth. So if you just like now look at these four gentlemen from that lens, Rahul Dravid in my book is
Trust.
second. I mean, like, trust personified. Akshay Kumar, an extremely trusted person. I mean, like, Mahesh Babu, again the same. KL Rahul, while he's a younger person, but again the role that he was playing in the Indian cricket team, wicket keeper bhi tha, vice captain, batsman, a very trusted guy, and then not a very consistent person. Yeah, and he has been. So now, if you look at from that lens, these four will be over-indexed. And then KL Rahul, I think, from a younger cohort perspective also, I think that is another additional advantage from a KL Rahul perspective. But I think these are the two big reasons behind the brand ambassadors. And yeah, I mean, like all of them did phenomenally well. I think we had a fabulous campaign with Rahul Dravid. It was the first big campaign of, I think, after Gillette that Rahul Dravid did. As good a person in real life as we see him on TV and what he's doing for the country and cricket in the country. Fabulous experience of having worked with all of them. And they were very open about doing a lot of things. I'll just talk about a quick campaign that we did in 2020, September, October. IPL was happening in Dubai in that year in September, October. So we didn't invest on IPL. We just like took a little bit of inventory on Hotstar with Rahul. And we knew we did something called chaser ads. Whenever there's a Maruti ad coming up, so उसके एकदम बाद में 10 सेकंड का एक राहुल द्रविड़ का ad आता था कि if you want to sell this car, if you want to buy this car, first sell your used car on CarDekho Gadi. And then another ad used to come whenever there's the same ad used to come another time. Dravid used to come, if you want to buy this car, then go to CarDekho to search for the best prices. So like ambush marketing at this ambush, I mean, like it is just like being in context, contextually relevant marketing. Did phenomenally well. We spent like a fraction, but we got like phenomenal results through that campaign. And this is like a side campaign to the main campaign. We just like shot like 10 seconders for them and did phenomenally well. So yeah.
Nice.
Damn interesting.
Yeah, I think we covered almost everything here as well. This was thoughtful and very thought-provoking conversation which we had now. Saurabh, I'm excited to know about the key learnings and takeaways from this particular conversations from you.
Sure. So a marketeer's role is often that a role of a futurist. It's the person who holds the crystal ball. While the rest of the organization really focuses on execution, a marketeer has also got to spot trends and tell us what's coming up ahead. So what I loved about this conversation is about, when the pandemic was hitting, it was actually an opportunity in disguise. A lot of people would have, thumbed their head and said, oh my God, auto industry is already doing badly. Now I've got all the reason for my numbers not to happen. Versus how a marketer is able to spot this and say, you know what, actually mobility is going to go up. Both shared and personal will grow more. And why will personal grow more? Is because people will have the need for their safety and security, right? And hence, I think the first learning for me is how marketers plot the trends, not just for now, but also try to second guess the future based on macroeconomic conditions.
True.
The second thing for me is, how the marketing in say things like automobiles is different from FMCG, where it is also about being more consumer centered in different ways. Yeah. And hence how a platform like a CarDekho almost collaborates with other car portals to help the consumer in different parts of the journey. And hence the role that CarDekho has taken, right, of being the person that I'm going to tell you how this is done. I'm gonna make you comfortable with the service. I think is really interesting. So when you are in an ecosystem of complicated products and an evolving industry, how do you find your niche and you decide to really play your role, right? And hence, what is your company's purpose? I think was really exciting for me as well. And the third thing for me is, even for a company which is very, very business oriented, being able to show the human face, show that they care, right? And by spotting the right opportunities to do that, so I think I loved this whole campaign of the elderly people with a simple E mark and needed a little bit of brainstorming, very little money being spent behind it, but you did the little bit of goodness to the world, right? And you did it in a manner which is true to your brand score because it's a brand that actually helps consumers, right, navigate this platform. So I think that is something that I quite liked, and this whole insight minding of the fact that elder people at this time have lost their drivers maybe, and they have to do this driving on their own. So how can we help them? Yeah. So hence, just in summary, in in a category which is like automobiles, being able to provide logical messages, being consumer centered in your own way is important, and this brand did that. A marketeer needs to be a futurist, spot trends and find out opportunities for the future, and there are interesting ways of doing this. And finally, for each of our brands should do a little bit while holding true to our brand core, but also helping the consumer always pays off. And I think these are the three things that I felt came out really strongly from today's conversation.
Very true. And I really like the simplicity and the strong, thought provoking message from the campaign as well. And thank you for sharing these powerful takeaways for us, Saurabh. Very interesting. And, we have been getting a lot of insights and learning from you through the conversations here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure being here, guys. Bye bye.
Yeah. And thank you for all the viewers and listeners for being here.